Hello guys, welcome again to my YouTube channel. This is Adebisi Daudu, known as Shalom as an author. In today's content, we'll be looking to the Living Beyond the Limit Program Module 1 Series 5. As I usually said in the first series pack, we usually look into the summary of the programs, objective of the programs, and the overall objective of the programs. Now let's look into the summary. The Living Beyond the Limit Modules program is based on faith building, spiritual growth, and motivations that will enable the recipient of the modules programs on how to understand or having an understanding of the mechanisms that will enable them to live beyond the limits and limitations of life. They're being imparted with the mechanisms which are involved with the modules program will enable them to live beyond the limits and limitations of life. Now let's look into the objectives of the program summary. Say the imparted are emotional self-sufficient, using program modules living beyond the limit to impart into the non-emotional self-sufficient. Right, let's look right now to the overall objectives of the programs. So being emotional self-sufficient is the beginning of creations and achieving destiny and purpose in life. In other words, let's look into the Module 5 content of today's module programs, which also have objectives, outcomes, skills, and knowledge. Let's look into the objectives of the Module 5 content. As I have stated in the Module 1 that information becomes a static knowledge that resides in one mind. Knowledge in its own perspectives is the application of wisdom that is used in human challenges. Now let's look into the outcomes of today's module programs. The properly use of wisdom from Google search. Wisdom takes the knowledge and apply it with discernment based on experience, evaluations, and lesson learned. It says a quote by an unknown author. Sum up the differences. Well, knowledge is knowing what to say, and wisdom is knowing when to say it. Now let's look into the skills of the module content. It says appropriate use of wisdoms. Now let's look into the knowledge. Say having an understanding that in any situations there is always a solution. Meanwhile, now let's look into the series 5 of today's content and also the recaps of last week series 4, which reads that you may have gotten the prestige among respected among colleagues and in the society, but still lives in limits and limitations. Now there's a kind of a question. You say, what is wisdom? Now we have a Bible verse in Proverbs 1:5. It reads, a wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel. Now let's now go down to what the series 5 content have for us. So much of citing strange occurrences that have been making life unlivable, having a sleepless night, or challenges your faith in God can be handled by yielding to divine instructions and by the knowledge you have acquired in God's words to lead you to the path of lasting victory. Meanwhile, there's another kind of a question which reads, how can one apply wisdom? And it says, to every situation in human life, there is always a solution. Whatever that is without a solution and is present in human habitants, just know that such does not exist in the same world that I and you are living. Also, there's a kind of an example, and it was taken from the book of Proverbs, and it reads, say, Proverbs 1:7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fool despise wisdoms and instructions. Also, we also have a kind of example also. It's a putting wisdom into practice. Now, what does it mean by putting wisdom into practice? One, it says helpful, be humble in new situation. Two, think before acting. Three, take as much time as you need to deliberate on the problems before making a decision. Four, say act on your value. Five, it said learn from your mistake. Six, share your wisdom with other. As in each series, there's always an end of program modus which indicates the ending of the programs, and it reads, it said modify explain the importance of wisdom and applications of knowledge, which becomes tacit knowledge that reside in one mind. Meanwhile, in every situations and challenges, there is always a solution. But wisdom, the application of knowledge, is one of the mechanisms that that will enable this solution to be achieved. At this point, we have a question. I don't know you, or maybe you would like to ask a questions or from me in terms of more enlightenment and more information how you can achieve the success of living beyond the limit and limitation. You can drop a comment on my YouTube channel, which I can be able to deliberate more, interact, and also share more enlightenment or share more enlightenment. Also, we have post assessment. Post assessment one, it reads: when last have you taken a decision? Two, do you have time to gain new information? And lastly, say, does the information gained becomes tacit knowledge in you? I hope with this information, it has given us more enlightenment on how we can achieve the success to live beyond the limit. Also, on my YouTube frames, there's a link of my website, which you can click on the link that will take you to my website, and also you can have more access to my work, to my books, which you can click on them, and also it will definitely be of help. Thank you so much for today. See you next time in the next video. Bye.